Good afternoon. I have the honor to host today's panel B on the impact of offshore wind to carbon reduction. I'm Axel Limberg and I'm running the German trade office Taipei. Today my guests are Don Yang, Country Manager Boskalis Taiwan, Dr. Lin, Director of the Center for Green Economy, Dr. Lee, Deputy Director General from the Energy Administration, Danny Ng from OWC Taiwan, and James Hope, Regional Director from Sulmara. I'd like to ask my panelists to introduce themselves very quickly. So I will start with Don. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, definitely. Hi everyone, this is Don Yang from Boskalis Taiwan as a country manager. So my daily work, in addition to the Taiwanese office normal routine job, we're also taking care of all the commercial cases, not only by Taiwan, but also the neighboring countries like Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, etc. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much. Danny, may I hand over to you?
I'm Danny Ng, I'm country manager for OWC Taiwan. We provide project management services and engineering consultancy, including geoscience as well.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lin.
Hello everyone, I'm Chun Su Lin. I'm the research fellow with CIER, Zhonghua Institution for Economic Research, which is a think tank in Taiwan since 1981. Currently, I'm serving as the director of Center for Green Economy, and we do everything about green, and we have a lot of people working on green issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lee.
You. Hello, everybody. My name is Li Chunli. I'm the Deputy Director General of the Energy Administration, and we are responsible for the Taiwan energy demand and supply. And right now, we are very focused on development of the renewable energy, especially the wind energy and the solar energy.
Thank you. James?
Thank you. Hello, my name is James Hope. I'm Regional Director for a company called Sulmara. Coming from the contractor perspective, a company, we provide offshore specialist survey services to map the seabed and what's underneath it, and also to support the whole construction activities and all the way through to O&M, subsea inspection, and so on. I also represent the UK Renewables Committee as co-chair. So I come from it from two perspectives really, contractor and also generally from the supply chain and supporting members for that committee.
No, thank you very much. I have to say I'm very impressed about the knowledge, know-how we have here on the table to discuss from the industry and from the institutions. And I would say this is the right basis to discuss this complex topic of the relation between carbon neutrality and what is the role of offshore wind. If I take Taiwan as a market, it's a high-tech market for industries. We have a lot of production here. Energy plays an important role for the production. But also from customer side, we see an increasing demand on carbon neutrality. What is the carbon footprint of the products? Here I'd like to ask Director Lee, as an initiative or initial statement from your perspective, what is the role of CO2 reduction for the Taiwanese economy, and what are the customer needs, and what is necessary that the Taiwanese products stay in the market with the preferred position they have right now?
Yes, as we know, achieving net zero carbon emission by year 2050 is the common goal of the world. And Taiwan, as a member of the global community, we cannot neglect or ignore this big trend. Especially Taiwan is highly reliant on the export. Taiwan is an export-oriented country. So when we do the carbon neutral, it is not only enhance our environment, but also enhance our competitiveness. Because right now, a lot of products want to export to other countries. The carbon content, how much carbon content in this product is very important. Especially something like in Europe, they will have the C-band system. In the future, they will have the carbon tax or carbon pricing systems. So if we are not doing the carbon neutral in Taiwan, in the long term, for the future, when our products want to export to other countries, we have to pay a lot of cost. So right now, it is the common sense in Taiwan. We have to decrease the carbon emission. We have to approach to the carbon neutral.
Yeah. So thank you very much. In my understanding, we see the clear pressure from the customer sides. So the Taiwanese industry has to change its position, has to change the carbon footprint of the, let's say, its products to stay into the market. So maybe from the technology perspective, Dr. Lin, what is the relevance or what is the impact of offshore wind, let's say, as technology to serve this demand?
Right, okay, yeah. From my perspective, it's a pressure to Taiwanese companies, especially when CBAM was launched last year. And it's overwhelming pressure on especially SME, small and medium-sized enterprises in Taiwan. But I also see another opportunity, which is low carbon issues around the world. So the so-called green products or low carbon products and services. Right now, they have a good potential to expand their market around the world. So I see both challenges and also opportunities for Taiwanese business.
Okay, thank you very much. So we see, we have this, let's say, pressure on the market. We are coming a little bit more from the, let's say, customer side, from the product side, not from the generation side to emphasize, okay, what is the relevance of offshore? I'd like to move forward to see, is there a link between, let's say, the economic growth overall in Taiwan and offshore wind? And of course, is it a single topic for Taiwan, or have we consider Taiwan, let's say, as part of the APEC region, and Taiwan and the industry here might take a lead? Don, as a, let's say, service provider, deeply rooted in the, let's say, offshore technology, what is your position and view on this topic?
Yes. So from the marine contractor point of view as Boskalis, we do see that the positive relation between the renewable energy, such as offshore wind, and economic growth for Taiwan and also the APEC region. And we definitely can leverage the regional cooperation to bring the positive impact to the cost and time during the wind farm development and also the construction phase. For example, as we currently managing the crane installation, main installation vessel to support the foundation installation, most of the time we also need to utilize the supported construction supported vessel, and then these vessels normally is a middle size, and then we not only can utilize them from locally from local market, but also can from the regional market like the Singapore. So these can reduce a lot of cost and time on the mobilization and demobilization, and that can also definitely bring a lot of business to these not only local company but also the company around Taiwan. And another concrete example is during the past 3 to 5 years, we do see like 3 to 4 local foundation fabricators are successfully stepping into this market. And then we also see a lot of developers, in order to faster the development process for the project in Taiwan, they also work with other international fabricators around Taiwan, for example, South Korea or Vietnam, to do the projects here. So definitely with the growth of the offshore wind industry in Taiwan will bring the economic growth, not only Taiwan, but also APEC region.
Okay, I think it's great to see that Taiwan is integrated part of, let's say, the industry. I also learned that some of you are based in Singapore, so it's really an international business or a regional business. James, what is your perspective? Is Taiwan a potential springboard to develop the region, or is it more we are getting suppliers to Taiwan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when Samara first started out of Singapore 3 years ago, one of the first things I did was set up a business in Taiwan, because I saw exactly that. I saw the market here being so dominant in the region, and as he said, a springboard for the other markets. And I think actually there's a general feeling, because I do travel to the other sort of key potential markets, so South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, you kind of feel like those other markets are looking at Taiwan, they're looking at the successes, they're looking at the challenges in particular, and they're looking at the progress. So I feel whatever happens here in Taiwan, the industry, is providing confidence to the other markets, and all the investments and all the supply chain that needs to develop to maintain the offshore wind development in those countries. So I feel Taiwan's got a really unique opportunity, and I think it's been mentioned before, to take everything which has been happening here over the last 10 years, if it's that long, and export that, so all the knowledge, all the experience, and of course all the assets being built here, the fabrication facilities, that can be part of a big export to the other regions, the other markets in the other regions.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Danny, from OWC, I think you're also active in, let's say, servicing the industry. What is your experience and your view on the potential of the market?
So as far as the potential of the market here in Taiwan, I will actually comment what James has already said. It is really the front developer from 2014 even on how Taiwan has developed in the offshore wind market, and it has shown Asia what it can do and what he has been through since then. And there is definitely a lot of takeaway from all the experience and even the pain that Taiwan has went through, and to export that kind of knowledge back over to Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and even the Philippines. So this is really a good learning ground, and this is where Taiwan is actually contributing to the wider region here.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'd like to move now to the institutions, because James, you have mentioned also, and Danny, it's a chance to export. But in the current discussion, we see the Taiwan regulations are more focused on, let's say, localization and supporting, let's say, the local economy. What is the approach from, let's say, the institutions, from the government, to support also the export of technology to the region and to make Taiwan really to the offshore hub in this region? Okay,
yeah, maybe I can go first. Yes. Yeah, according to the number by the Directorate General of Statistics under the Cabinet of Statistics, Budgeting and Accounting, I guess that's the full name. Okay, in 2021, the offshore wind together with solar PV contribute to about 1.1% of Taiwan's GDP, which is very significant. And from 2018 to 2021, the total investment is about $11.5 billion US. Okay, so I think definitely offshore wind has contributed to Taiwan's economy quite a lot. But right now, at this moment, it's just establishment. It's like how we go to the process, how we go to the neutrality, carbon neutrality, and in the process, we have achieved this kind of number. And so later on, when the industry has been promoted, further developed. So as back to my previous statement, the green trade or green product and services certainly will be intensified. So that's the opportunity for Taiwan's business.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Lee, from government perspective.
Yes. First of all, I'm very happy to hear all the foreign companies, they are very interested in the Taiwan government, Taiwan market. And for the government position, I think the offshore wind development have a strong link about our economic growth, because Taiwan is, just like I mentioned, is export-oriented countries, and the offshore wind can produce a lot of the green electricity to the market, and the green electricity is just the Taiwan industry need when they export the products. And secondly, the offshore wind can enhance our energy stability and security. As we know, in Taiwan, 98% of the energy supply rely on import. And the offshore wind energy is one of the indigenous energy resources. And secondly, the offshore wind project can attract a lot of foreign capital or foreign investment in Taiwan. That will boost the Taiwan's economic. And then it will benefit the Taiwan industry, because right now a lot of the foreign companies, they cooperate with the local companies to develop offshore wind. For example, the DEMI cooperate with the Chinese shipbuilding company. They built the first offshore wind turbine installation vessels in Taiwan. And the other company, the Jingong manufacture industry, they cooperate with the Korea's CS Wind and to produce and provide the wind turbine tower in Taiwan. So a lot of job opportunities created in Taiwan. And finally, is from this project that we can acquire a lot of new knowledge and new technology, and not only the industry technology, but also the financing model, the financing knowledge in Taiwan. So it will benefit Taiwan a lot.
But if I understand it in a correct manner, the Taiwan approach is a little bit, or is focused on Taiwan itself. But do we see also from government, let's say, regional approach? Because if we consider the APEC region, for example, the blade production, will we see it in each and every country, or will there be one hub for blade production? Same with all other kind of installments, which also means we have different spots where different technologies are, let's say, in a better position. Is there such an idea of Taiwan to create, let's say, these regional structures? Or what is also the industrial background? Is there the idea, the support from the industry behind, let's say, these regional topics?
Yeah, for my personal opinion, if we do want to develop this technology to the Asia countries, something of the Vietnam, Thailand, or sort of these countries. But at the first, we have to enhance ourselves. If Taiwan can become the hub of the offshore wind hub in the Asia country, we think we got the opportunity. But we don't think we can do it by ourselves. So we have to cooperate with the experienced international companies, and we work together. And not only in Taiwan, right now maybe it's just in Taiwan, but for the long term, maybe we got the chance to promote or develop our technology or offshore wind to the Asia countries, even the Japan or Korea.
Okay, so I understand now the offshore technology serves on its own, so it creates own value and is relevant for, let's say, the economic growth in Taiwan. But on the other side, it's also part, let's say, of the overall industry, and for the growth of our industries, we need, let's say, the green energy produced by offshore technology. So we see that the basis for offshore technology is here in Taiwan. And as it is with all technologies, there are always challenges and opportunities to manage. If I consider, for example, challenges, what I hear when I'm chatting with people from the industry, and it's not only offshore, is there a lack of talents, or is there a lack of skilled employees for offshore technology? It's quite often discussed localization rules and requirements. How about the grid connection? Is it possible to connect all offshore parks to the grid? And how about the grid stability? And I understand also in Taiwan we still do not have, let's say, real market for green energy. Do we need to get a liberal energy market like in other parts of the world? And that's something the industry is always struggling with. Its bureaucracy, legal framework, and tax systems, where the, let's say, governments usually have a different view and perspective as the industry, but you have to find a balance. So moving forward to, let's say, challenges, James, from your perspective as Sulmara, what are the main challenges and, of course, opportunities here in Taiwan?
I see challenges on a couple of levels that are sort of a main consideration for our business working in Taiwan. I mean, obviously the conditions here, working offshore. I guess one of the great ironies is that it's very windy in the Taiwan Straits. It has to be, otherwise there wouldn't be wind farms, but that makes it very challenging for all aspects of site investigation, construction, and then ongoing maintenance. So I feel it probably goes without saying that Taiwan's got extreme conditions, whether that be the sea state or the mobility of the seabed, or obviously, given that we're in a sort of area of high tectonic activity, the seabed itself can also move. So there's lots of things that go into meaning that you need to have a high level of quality of data to allow the wind farms to be designed and to be engineered to cope with the conditions here. But I think those are all challenges that will be they're well known, and they can be tackled through process, procedures, and perhaps innovation happening now and in the future. But I think the area that is probably the biggest challenge, given that the industry here is essentially a blank canvas. It doesn't have the oil and gas legacy infrastructure that other markets might benefit from, say over in Europe. So here it's a blank canvas, and it's amazing what's been achieved so far with very little sort of background and resources at that level. But I think the area that I'm sure my colleagues here will agree is, I wouldn't say it's a lack of talent, because I firmly believe there is an abundance of talent within Taiwan. Yeah. It's really just the skills shortage. It's converting the talent into necessary skills to actually be part of the development of the wind farms. So something that I've been involved in with a few levels, particularly with the UK Renewables Committee, is running internships. So really identifying talent at a very early stage, engaging with local universities, putting interns through a fairly thorough induction process, through to them being allocated or assigned to various companies who are already active in the wind market here, and just bringing through the talent at that sort of level, giving early exposure to students who may be considering what their future career is going to be. So really it's about getting to the grassroots of where that talent is and nurturing that talent and bringing it into what is a very exciting industry. And in fact, I believe it's the fastest growing industry, not just Taiwan, but maybe globally. Close enough. But I think that's very key, is developing the local talent pipeline to make sure that skills shortage is addressed.
Yeah, maybe I would say it sounds interesting because you mentioned it as a challenge, a lack of, let's say, skilled workers, because in other countries we have really a lack of talent. So I would consider it more as an opportunity and upside here in Taiwan if we have, let's say, sufficient talents and we need to train them. Maybe, Don, what is your perspective on these talent issues? Do you think we have sufficient talents here and it's only a topic of training, or is it the lack of, let's say, labor force like we are faced all over the world?
Yes. Before I deep dive into this issue, probably I also would like to take this chance to, of course, I think Boskali, we start our offshore wind business back in 2018 in Taiwan. And then along the way, of course, we need to appreciate the support from the Dutch government, but we want to extend this appreciation to the Taiwanese government. Actually, during the past 5 years, actually, we along the way, we have a lot of hurdle, but working together with Dutch and Taiwanese government, actually, we overcome a lot of the difficulties. So that's why so far we do see ourselves in Taiwan is a quite success. But in terms of the challenge, actually, in terms of the skilled person, we also see the challenge, because we as a marine contractor, one of the important assets for us is the crew. And then, of course, Taiwan, we have the crew-related university and provide a relevant training. But those crews actually are working on the cargo ship vessel. So the specific training for the crews working on the offshore wind related vessel is actually not sufficient at the moment. So just like James mentioned about the training for the local talents people, we do actually have several different kind of training programs, not only for the crews, but also for the office personnel. For example, for the crews, in the past 5 years, we also, actually the first batch Taiwanese on board our Bokkali One to work on the Taiwanese project, actually we sent 4 students from Taiwan all the way to our headquarters, Papandreou, to start the 4 years, 2 to 4 years traineeship program. And then they work together with the vessel all the way from the Europe to Taiwan. So actually this is one of the internship or cadetship program that we offer to the local Taiwanese people. And more recently, we also have the research internship cooperating with the National Taiwan University in Taiwan. And we sent actually one Taiwanese student to our R&D center in Europe to specifically research on the mooring system for the floating wind. And we also know the Taiwanese government has also the ambitions to promote the floating projects. So actually we do see the link between our R&D center and also the research academia in Taiwan to see how and what we can find the optimal installation methodology for the floating wind, not only in Taiwan but also globally. And another challenge I would like to share here is actually In terms of the global view for the expected offshore wind expected installed capacity, actually by recent study, by 2050, there will be more than 600 gigawatts wind farm needs to be built. So based on this, actually you can see a very clear soaring demand for the critical installation vessel. So in terms of this point of view, actually Taiwan is not only competing to ourselves, to APEC, but also globally. So we see is from our perspective, we think Taiwan needs to rely on an experienced contractor to provide a suitable assets to reach, especially for the ambitious target by 2030, over 10 gigawatts of offshore wind needs to be built. So we see that especially from the technical perspective, actually Taiwan is a country with a challenging meta-ocean condition during the northeast monsoon season. So that leads to a very short installation window. So only if the experienced contractor, especially for those who already have some working experience in Taiwan, to continually stay in Taiwan, that can support not only the developer but also the government to reach this renewable energy goal.
Yeah, I think you have been very focused. I understand, as Boscalis, you're working on this topic.
Yes.
But to ramp up, to build the power plants is a very important phase, but it's a short phase. We are discussing 20-25 years of operation and maintenance. Do we have the talents to run, let's say, the installments here in Taiwan, or is it also, again, a lack of skilled employees and or is there a lack of talent and workforces?
Yes, maybe I can jump in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The localization or local content is always been an issue. It's been an issue from the very beginning of our offshore wind development, and I'm really optimistic about the capacity upgrading of Taiwanese business with the help of the international developers, international society. So I'm very optimistic about that, about the future, and we can have a better capacity in terms of offering offshore wind technology and services, etc. Okay, but however, on the other side, it's somehow the local contents or localization is a factor slowing down the process of going net zero in Taiwan, and that will. Because of that, it's increasing a lot of the cost for the development of the wind farms and a lot of issues behind that. And so localization somehow should be dealt with. So we have to be balanced out which way we should go, and we should do capacity building, or we should do neutralization, carbon neutralization. Which one is more important than the other one, or how we can do them both? So I think that's the dilemma for the government. Yeah.
So I think I can jump in a bit first to capture. I mean, there's a lot to take in. A lot of topics have been across the table right now. Then to sum up what Director Lin just now has said, Taiwan is importing about 98% of your energy needs within Taiwan itself. And in terms of cost, you're actually at the mercy of people selling energy to you. And whether you want to have this on a renewable basis so that you are producing your own energy, this is something of an energy mix and energy transition that definitely will help to alleviate the cost and concern that Mr. Lee here has just mentioned. So that being said, from the current coal and gas power plants that we have right now, the few renewables energy that we have, offshore wind, onshore wind, PV, solar power, hydro dams, so on and so forth. In terms of energy density, offshore wind is definitely on the top, that's for sure. That is not the only thing, but that is definitely one of the key elements that we can consider in this energy transition. And we also do recognize that this forum is about reducing CO2. And as far as offshore wind is concerned, it does have a name in creating a lot of CO2 during construction and during O&M. So one of the key highlights or challenges that we can have right now to tackle is the use of vessels and to convert vessels from typically MGO, marine diesel oil, heavy fuel oil, to electrifying the propulsion systems of the vessel. Whether we are starting from CTVs, we are starting from ESOVs, from OWC, from ABL as well. And potentially even to construction vessel, that will be a bit of a challenge. But that is probably one thing that the industry is looking at, to electrify our installation vessels, to electrify our maintenance vessels, to try to keep the CO2 emissions as low as possible.
Yeah. So I think it's a quite important topic to mention. Okay, we have, let's say, the production itself. My understanding is offshore wind is one of the production technologies with the lowest CO2 emission per kilowatt hour. But then you mentioned there is always potential. There's also room for let's say, innovation, for changes. James, what is your perspective? Where is the potential to get offshore wind more?
I think you mentioned, because the construction phase is actually quite short, and you mentioned that the long part is when the wind farm is under production, and the operation and maintenance inspection, looking after those assets. So that's a 20-25 year period. That's a good chunk of time that allows what is currently possible with cutting edge technology to progress. So there'll be non-stop innovation, such that some of the conversion to more lower carbon fuels, electric vessels, and so on. And it's something that we're doing actually at the moment within the business I work for, Samara, is that we have uncrewed surface vehicles, USVs for short, which are admittedly for quite a niche part of the offshore sort of site investigation, construction, and O&M phases, but help to map the seabed and what's underneath it in a very fuel efficient way. Also reducing health and safety risk as well, because you're taking humans out of the firing line, so to speak. So that's been happening actually in Taiwan for the past couple of years through my business. It's actually the first offshore wind market to be using such seagoing drones. So the innovation is here, it's happening, and it's only going to improve, and it will improve over the next 20-25 years, such that the vision of the future could be that majority of the inspection work could be done with seagoing drones or even aerial drones as well. So I think we're moving at the right pace with not just my company, but collectively, all of us moving at the right pace in line with the development of the wind farms.
And from governmental perspective, I understand we see there's room for innovation. We need innovation. We need, let's say, development of new technologies. Within my 7 years here in Taiwan, I learned that the Taiwanese industry is extremely innovative, very quick from ideas to realization. What is your potential or your view on the potential? How can the Taiwanese industry innovate, bring in new technologies to make offshore wind during the operational phase also more carbon neutral or carbon emission free?
Yes, regarding to the new technology, I think Taiwan is not the front runner in the world, but Taiwan do have the potential to develop it, especially for the semiconductor related technology, something like the AI technology, or even the traditional technology. But right now, the main issue is we are short of the talent. But I don't think it is a big problem, because something like just we mentioned, some offshore wind developer right now, they're training their talent in Taiwan. And we also have the Marine Talent Training Center. We set 3 training centers in Taiwan. So I think at the beginning, maybe we are short of the talent, but for the long term, we think we can make up these gaps. And another very important issues or very important barriers for our promotion is the financial issues. Because right now, especially after Ukraine and the Russia war, the cost of the wind turbine or wind development is increased sharply. This is much higher than the traditional offshore wind turbine. So the developer do need the financial sector's support, and their support is very essential. But in Taiwan, this offshore wind industry is still an emerging industry. So the Taiwan's financial system, especially the local bank, they are not so familiar with the offshore wind industry. So they are relatively conservative to funding the offshore wind project. So that's what we have to overcome these issues. I think one of the point is the local banking system. They don't know how to evaluate the risk of the offshore wind project. So if they cannot evaluate the risk, they are very hesitant to invest it. And the government, right now, we have a project to push we said the green financial project to push the local banking system, the local bank to involve in the offshore wind project.
Yeah, in respect of financing, let's say from industrial perspective, where can you contribute and where can you, let's say, help to convince, let's say, local banks to step into these markets? Do you see there a chance?
Maybe yes. Maybe I can share from our point of view. Actually, when we work with the developers in terms of the financing part, what we can have some extra value added to the project financing part is actually our headquarters Boskali has a quite close relationship with the Dutch Export Credit Agency Authorities. So normally what we can work with the developer is because we bring in the Dutch contents into this project development in Taiwan, and then we can bring the guarantee from the Dutch Export Credit Agency as a guarantee to the project itself, can increase the confidence that other lenders will believe that these are the projects can be investable. So from this point of view, actually we can bring in the extra layer of the confidence from the support of the authorities to partially make sure this project will be bankable.
Yeah. Any other comments on the possibilities of financing? Because I fully agree. We have, let's say, a very wealthy economy here in Taiwan. We have banks with also quite deep pockets, and we have to convince them to invest in this technology. And I'm a little bit wondering, it's a working technology, it's in, let's say, reliable technology, and here we see, let's say, a resistance from the banks. Maybe it's a task for the government with guarantees or support to increase the level of confidence. Because in my opinion, local business is always very helpful, also if it's locally financed, which speed up the process. Maybe other challenges. I know you're not from, let's say, operational part. How about, let's say, grid connections and grid stability? In particular, grid connection is one part where we have, let's say, the physical connection. These things are working here, or do you see there any room for improvement and chances to speed up the process?
Yes, I think how to enhance our grid system is very important, because before 10 years ago, we don't have this schedule, this plan about how to enhance our grid system. But right now, we have the short-term and the long-term project for enhance our grid system. Especially just mentioned, we will increase the offshore wind capacity to 40 gigawatt to 55 gigawatt by year 2050. So right now, the current grid system is not enough to support that project. So aside from the grid system, how to display the subsea cable is very important, because in the future we will have a lot of the subsea cable under the seabed. So how to regulate it and how to link so many subsea cable to the grid system is very important. So right now the government is organized all the potential grid system, and we have a lot of open hearing to discuss the opinion about the local resident, because another barrier in Taiwan is how to get the common consensus about the offshore wind, because especially the fishery organization, they are not welcome the subsea cable to display in their fishing areas. So we have to plan this project earlier, and right now we do have a project to enhance our grid system in Taiwan, not only for the short term, but only for the 2050.
I think it's good to hear that Taiwan is working, let's say, on all parts and all stones for, let's say, puzzle parts for let's say, make the things happen. I think we are coming closely to an end of, let's say, our discussion. Before we are going to the final round, I'd like to ask, what is, from your position, from your opinion, necessary to make the things happen, to make really the big next step forward? Because we see we started in Taiwan with the first auction for offshore wind capacity in 2018, second round 2019, and now we just finalized the third round. So it's an, let's say, stretched process. What is necessary to speed it up, to realize the opportunities which are there, and to fulfill also the demands from the industry? James.
I guess this probably relates to round 3.2 in particular. I guess we mentioned before, but there is a particular weather window from when offshore activities are best taking place in Taiwan. So say that's April to September. There needs to be a way such that the sort of administration, if you like, of the auction process and permits and so on is made clearer and smoother, such that that period of time is almost ring-fenced. So April to September is ring-fenced, so that gives the clarity and confidence to whether it be vessel owners, contractors like myself, developers obviously, who are commissioning the work to investigate wind farm locations and ultimately go through to construction. So it's very important that that period of time is made available and the best use of it, because the last thing you want to do is push that sort of work further into the off-season, which is happening, and it's a challenge. And it slows things down, and it costs more money, and it causes risk as well. Yep. So that would be one of the things that I would, like to convey. That would be a very sort of hopefully simple improvement, just to allow the process to be a bit more transparent and smooth.
Yeah. Okay. Danny, from your industrial perspective.
So let me play the devil's advocate a bit first. The bad things first. When you say try to develop this a bit faster, in fact, I find that Taiwan has really developed the wind farm industry, offshore wind farm industry here pretty quickly. I'm not too sure whether slowing down may help to register a bit more on the lessons learned from the previous rounds, and whether that has really been digested into the next round of development. That is something to take away. So that is my personal view on it. And then, but the good thing, of course, like what Director Lin has said just now, that the grid is owned by TPC, and the government has a very direct intervention into how the grid can be developed, can be sustainable for the offshore wind industry. That is really a good challenge. And even in round 3.1, round 3.2 right now, we do see congestions on connecting from offshore wind into the land, which you have also correctly pointed out. And I'm really glad to hear that the government is really doing something to try to make this into an organized manner, whether it's a cable crossing or landfall issues. And not only looking at it from a technical perspective, but also engaging local stakeholders to make sure that there's less resistance from the community when we are having this discussion down the road. So that's really good for you. Yeah. Good for Taiwan.
Okay. Yes. Dom?
Okay, so echo to Danny said, actually, we do see if Taiwan would like to maintain its front-runner position in APEC in terms of developing offshore wind, as a humble suggestion will be, we will encourage the government to maintain a stable and predictable market to ensure a healthier business environment for the experienced contractor, so that we can realize this goal altogether.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. I just see the signal we are coming really to an end. Before we make the final round with the final statement to really point out, okay, what are the takeaways? In my opinion, we see the demand for climate neutral energy production is here. It's a big chance for offshore wind. In my understanding, there is no carbon neutrality in Taiwan without offshore wind. We see a lot of challenges to make the things happen. We see delays, but everything seems to be manageable if all stakeholders are in a positive and constructive communication and exchange. And maybe we have to understand offshore wind is an international business. It's not a national or regional business, so it's really based on international supply chains, international cooperation, and this means also the regulation should be open to, let's say, these kind of international business. And of course, as we always see, no business without people, and here we have the clear task to train the people to get really the stuff we need for building up the offshore plants, but later on also for the long period, 20-25 years of operation. So, Don, from your perspective, what are your takeaways? And what is your final request to the government to push them a little bit?
I think in addition to all about I already mentioned earlier, probably there's only another thing I would like to share here is as a marine contractor, actually, as everyone knows, under Boskalis umbrella, actually we have globally we have over 600 vessels up and running currently. So the majority of the COD contribution actually coming from the vessel. So actually from the carbon reduction point of view, we also come up with some mitigation or measures to reduce the carbon emission from the vessel. For example, we have an energy, we call it energy pack. Actually, it's a battery system can apply to the vessel type, like construction support vessel. Actually, one of the construction support vessel called Bokatiama, who's also working in Taiwan, already equipped with this kind of energy pack. In the DP mode, dynamic position mode, actually, she can turn off the consumption from the fossil fuel to use the electric power by the power back to reduce the carbon emission up to 20%. And then another measure we are taking currently is we use the drop-in biofuel to reduce the carbon emission from the bigger vessel, which can contribute to up to 90% carbon reduction. So this is also something we want to encourage our friends company that in order to not only we build a wind farm, but also we need to take care of the environment. So carbon reduction is also one of the key corporate core in our company.
Yeah. So we see it's a complex issue where we have different parts where we can get active. Director Lee, what is, from your perspective, the takeaway? What are the most important topics we have to work on in close cooperation, industry and governmental institutions?
Yes, I think for the government position, and we have a very clear and transparent policy and pathway to reach to the net zero carbon emission and how to develop the offshore wind. We have three-phase development strategies. The first one is coming from the demo incentive project, and then we have the zones of potential project, and then we have the zonal development project. Right now is in the phase 3, so we will follow our project and continues to develop our offshore wind energy step by step. But I totally understand what the developer and the local industry, what they need, what is their difficult, what is the barrier they face. I think the government will cooperate with the developer and the local industry to develop the offshore wind. And the most important one, I think, is not the what kind of the project, what kind of the promise the government give, is what kind of the promise the government keep. So we will continue to work with everybody to develop our offshore wind.
Thank you. It's good to hear that the government keeps its constructive and supportive, let's say, position. Danny, what is your takeaway in a very short sentence?
All right.
To keep?
My biggest takeaway is I'm aware that Taiwan do import most of your energy mix, energy needs, and there is definitely a need for energy mix from renewables source for the economy of Taiwan to move ahead. With less reliance on importing energy. So that being said, this is just one of the, let's say, frame that can contribute to this energy transition. And this is where we are also supporting in to not only support the idea of how Taiwan to move forward in terms of your energy needs, but also on taking another closer look on how we can reduce our CO2 impact moving forward as well.
So thank you. Dr. Lin,
Yeah, okay, thank
as
you.
an institution?
Okay, I probably have 3 points I want to address. The first one is about CPPA, okay, the Corporate Power Purchase Agreement. It has something we need to deal with, not only for the supplying side, also for the demanding side. There are a lot of issues right now, so we have to deal with that. And the second one is about the connection, the grid connection. Okay, to solve the embarrassment of congestion to get on grid, I think we should diversify the uses of the offshore wind. For example, I have seen a lot of examples in Nordic countries and also in Australia. They are doing power to X, P2X, right? And so we can use the extra wind power to produce zero carbon fuel and at the site. Okay, so that's somehow we can think of, but it's very expensive. I know. It's also the technology also is very advanced, but we have to think in the long term. And the third key point I want to address is about cross-department or inter-ministry cooperation. Right now, it's somehow we don't see they are working very closely together, and the Ministry of Economic Affairs, especially Energy Administration, has a lot of pressures on themselves. But the energy issue is across industry. It's not only for energy and not only for particular industry. It's for every industry they have to deal with that. Back to the second point, the P2X. If we can develop that, certainly it needs the cooperation between like transportation and economic departments, etc. So something about that, I think in administration, I will hope to see in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To point out, let's say, these 3 really crucial points, which are a little bit beyond, let's say, the discussion we had today. James, you have the final
Thanks.
point.
I'll keep it really short.
Yeah.
I mean, just in line with what we've been discussing today, I think it is possible to be maybe, because we're talking about challenges, but you correctly said where there's challenges, there's opportunities. So sometimes it's easy to be a little bit too critical, maybe even negative, but what's been achieved in Taiwan is remarkable, given, as I said, this has been a blank canvas. But I think going forward, again, in line of continuous improvement, if you like, the 2 things which are really going to propel the industry, certainly to cover the 25-year life cycle of the wind farms, is innovation and addressing the skills shortage. So we mentioned the skills shortage, local talent's there. It's how you nurture it, it's how you get the interest in this industry and make that an attractive career option for as many people as possible within Taiwan. And the benefits will be seen for the years to come. And innovation. Innovation is key. So Taiwan needs to make sure the environment is ripe for innovation to thrive. And I think it will take care of itself in the years going forward.
Thank you very much. We are coming to an end. I have to say, it's again, as usual, people are key for the industry, for the innovation. So also here we see we need trained people, we need trained employees, we need the cooperation between the people in different industries, different segments. And also people are the drivers for innovation. So this is the final message, the final finding from my perspective. There is no carbon neutrality without offshore wind in Taiwan, and there is no offshore wind, let's say, with having a focus on using the people, bringing the people together, and let's say create an environment which brings in people in this technology. I'd like to thank to my panelists for the great discussion, for the input, for sharing their know-how, and in particular I'd like to thank World Forum Offshore for organizing this series, which is really meaningful to bring forward offshore technology, offshore industry here in Taiwan. Let's use the potential which is here. Thank you very much.